really?
Anna just said to me,
Oh, yeah.
Anna just called me. She's like, I can't get my results back. The city's so slow. I was like, come up here, baby.
Yeah, they said
It's
told me it happened tonight.
It's what, dude. I got it. I told Manu the other day. I got it. Took it at 10:45 a.m. I had it on my way home from work at like 5:45.
Yeah, I took it at,
And you were
I took it
there,
about
obviously.
11 o'clock and I got it about 6 or 7. It was phenomenal. I mean, I wish they had this for months.
Yeah, it would actually have been. Because I got texts from members after I tweeted it, being like, "Where is this?" I was like, "Where did you go?"
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, I'm gonna go like twice a week.
Are they limiting the number that you can do?
I don't think so, because her rules are that you have to get tested when you come back, when you travel, right? So, look, if you've been around, you're on a member, and then that member tests positive.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to Grassland.
No, but I think they had this in Maine for a while.
So, that's why I went and tested.
I don't know. This is like a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was brief. I mean, I only
Step
got
in the right direction, I think.
20 seconds, but it's still wearing masks.
McCarthy has done this for now. Thank you. I told him, I was like,
Right.
I said to him, I'm like, dude, you need to get together. We're doing
Right.
testing up here. It's the last thing we get. Well, now, I think, listen, I think their concerns at the front end, I understood them, McConnell and Pelosi. It was just, there's not enough tests for regular people. We shouldn't have enough. Yeah, it's political, yeah. But I still thought it was stupid because you're forcing people to come here, number one. And number two, now it's like, there's no excuse. There's a million tests. Everyone's testing.
Hey, man. Well, the problem is press conferences haven't made, so, yeah, thanks, just keep me posted. Okay. All right, sounds good, thanks.
Dude, the only thing that bothers me about it is I hate these tests where you have to do it yourself, you know?
Yeah.
This one wasn't so bad.
No, it wasn't bad.
Utah?
Because they tell you what to do, right?
I know, I just always assume that I do something wrong.
Yeah. Well, when I was doing it, they were like watching me.
Me too.
I'd much rather do it wrong than have somebody stick the blame.
Yeah.
product.
Well,
I've had that
if
before.
you go to the
Yeah.
attending physician,
Mhm.
which I did once, they have the brain scraping one,
Oh,
and
I've
it's,
had that.
and dude, the
Awful.
doctor comes in with like a space suit, with like one of these masks that has ventilation in it and everything like that, and they go all the way back, all the way back.
In Utah, they had it set up for the debate. It was a clear plastic box, and the technician stood on the other side,
Yeah,
and your
I've seen
supplies
those
right
too.
there.
I've seen photos. I haven't.
So you had to do both. You had to, well, first you had to do your tonsils with one, put that in a vial. Then you had to do, they made you measure an inch on the stick
Yes,
and then stick up to your hand, and that's pretty
Oh.
far. It doesn't look like very far when it's just here.
but it,
But when you stick that up your nose, they're like now swirl around. You have to do both sides of that.
ugh.
I'm like, you should have little cameras here and take selfies of people as they do it.
Ugh.
Turn around.
Man, what a gross thing.
Could be worse.
For sure.
130. Used a little 9, just an easy 9. Bounced twice. Right in the glove. So
Man, any witnesses?
yeah, two of my buddies that we were playing with, we were down at Woodmore.
That's nice.
Yeah, we're over at National, and now we're all switching over to Woodmore. This National is just underwater. The irrigation system is a problem.
Oh, really?
So we've been playing at National and nothing but like 2 inches of water even on the fairways. It's ridiculous.
Really?
So yeah, we went over to Woodmore and it was just dry, beautiful. Nice clubhouse too. So we're all gonna sign up over there.
Hopefully someone was recording that too.
Well, they got it afterwards. This is,
2 minutes.
Way I didn't mean to redeem the day a little.
taking it out of the cup. Oh, I will. It was so nice that because it was practice round.
Heads up.
Oh, quick 2 minutes.
Quick 2 minutes.
Quick 2 minutes.
Good morning. You've heard me talk quite a bit about this historic Republican freshman class we'll have in the next Congress, but I want to give you a few facts. Half of the freshmen are either women or minorities. Young Kim and Michelle Steele will be the first Korean American women to serve in Congress. Nancy Mace will be the first female graduate of the Citadel and now be the first Republican woman from South Carolina to serve in Congress. Yvette Harold is the first Republican Native American woman elected to Congress. And Stephanie Bice is the first Iranian American woman elected to Congress. This makes me very proud as a Republican and as an American. It shows that the party of Lincoln is also continuing the legacy of the first Black American to serve in Congress, Joseph Rainey of South Carolina. Rainey was born into slavery, and even after gaining his freedom, he received little education as a child. He was drafted by the Confederacy, but he escaped and went to Bermuda and started a business. After the war, he moved back to Georgetown, South Carolina, with his family, and in 1867, he became the chairman of the county's Republican Party. Just a few years later, he was elected in 1870 and became the first Black American in Congress, where he worked tirelessly, fought for civil rights, education, and economic opportunity for all. Now, next month, we are going to celebrate 150 years for Joseph Rainey's election. I'm going to have a party and an anniversary celebration, and I hope you will all attend this ceremony. Now, back in May, NBC News said that President Trump would need a miracle to deliver a vaccine by the end of the year. Not only did Democrats echo this same pessimistic view, they even cast doubt on whether the Americans should trust the safe and effective vaccine. Yesterday, Pfizer announced a 95% effective rate in the late stage trial and showed it was effective in older adults as well. Earlier this week, Moderna also announced their vaccine had a 94.5% effective rate. This is the most important news in probably a generation. And it's because of American innovation and this administration's plan to effectively distribute the vaccine to the American people. Dr. Slawi says 20 million Americans could receive the vaccine next month. We know that a vaccine is how we ultimately defeat this virus. So we need to help reinforce the work of Operation Warp Speed. That is why House Republicans included $47 billion in H.R. 14, the commitment to defeat the virus and keep America healthy, which we introduced just last month. Now, when it comes to small business, as we promised vaccines would lift our spirits, small businesses across this country might not be able to wait that long. They have been asked to do the impossible and now are facing further lockdowns with no help from Washington. The Wall Street Journal recently reported that hundreds of companies that received PPP loans have filed for bankruptcy, citing the lack of additional stimulus payments as the pandemic wears on. But that number of businesses in America going under is without question much higher after you see that the Journal only reviewed large firms that received loan forgiveness, which amounts to only 13.5% of the total participants in the program. The Washington Post reported that nearly 100,000 businesses nationwide have already shut their doors permanently. There's no more time to delay. We must act now. We are in session. I call on every member in this chamber, especially the Democrat moderates who complained about Nancy Pelosi's failure in delivering a COVID deal, to sign Jamie Herrera Butler's Paycheck Protection Program discharge petition. There's already $138 billion in relief just sitting there. It's already appropriated. All we have to do is vote to free it up. Now, back in September, 23 so-called moderate Democrats wrote to their House leadership, urging for bipartisan negotiations with Republican colleagues. Every one of them signed this letter. They admitted that if Pelosi failed, that a discharge petition would be the only resort. Well, this was back in September. These were 23 Democrats. I take them at their word and at their signature. They're in session today. They can sign the discharge petition, and this could be done today. Help could be on the way. Speaker Pelosi's approach that nothing is better than something is wrong, and everybody knows it. And the American people have paid the price for it. And now Democrats are clamoring to go home for the rest of the year. That's a disgrace. You signed a letter, you put your name to it, and you stated that if something did not happen, a discharge petition you would go to. Well, you know what? Nothing happened. Your leadership and Speaker Pelosi said nothing is better than something. And we watched hundreds of thousands of businesses shut down to lose their dream. We have $138 billion already appropriated, already sitting there. All it takes is your signature and follow through on what you said you would do. Now is the day, now is the time, and let's stop playing games and let's work for the American public. With that, let's go to questions. Yes, sir. Welcome back.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Why is it appropriate for the president, as he did yesterday, to call a local election official who's involved in the certification of the election? And more generally, what is the end game here for the president? When these states certify their results, do you accept that this election will be over?
I don't know who the president called, but the president is an American citizen. He can find out any facts that are going on. I know a number of members who call their election officials, ask how many votes are left, when's the count going to take place, are they provisional ballots, how many are within my district. We're still counting a number of congressional districts that are still out there that have not been called yet. Yes, at the end of the day, when every legal vote is counted, when every recount is finished, and every legal challenge is heard, yeah, people will accept what the results are. Yes, sir.
Would you support any effort to delay certification by the states so that Republican legislatures could name their own electors to the Electoral College regardless of how popular vote turns out?
I think I'm clear on all of that. I think every legal vote should be counted, every recount should be finished, and every legal challenge should be heard, and the states should finish their work.
They shouldn't go rogue. It shouldn't be rogue electoral electors.
No,
being
let
named
them
to the Electoral
finish their work. Yeah.
Do you have you had a single conversation about COVID relief in any substantive manner in the last couple of days
With who?
with anybody who is empowered to make a deal?
Well, in the House, I serve in the House. It'd be the Speaker of the House. No.
Have you talked to McConnell? Have you talked to the White
I've
House?
talked to McConnell, yes, and I've talked to the White House. Yes.
Could you give us a sense of where things are going?
Well, the things are still at the same place. There's one roadblock. There's one big wall that has stopped this the entire time. It is Speaker Pelosi. I would think after the politics that she played in the election being over, that she now put the American public first. She still seems to be in the same position. But the good news is you have 23 Democrats who put their name to a letter back in September who said, if you did not do your job, Speaker Pelosi, we would sign the discharge petition. So now if they keep their word, if their word is true and the letter is right, we can get at least PPP relief going. Yes.
All of this while cases are spiking across the country and in Congress. There are still a number of your conference members that are not wearing masks around the Capitol. Are you concerned about that? And are you concerned that this virus might spread to your colleagues, keeping you all from getting things like the NDAA, government funding, and a COVID relief bill done before the end of the year?
Well, I can continue to get concerned about the rise and the spike. I will tell you, I just went through 2 days of a conference where every single person wore their mask, except for when they were speaking. I think people have been very clear and understand the seriousness to this. I think that is why when we introduced our bill, HR 14, we added $47 billion more to help in any need that we can to make sure the vaccine moves further. It is a miracle that we would have a vaccine this year, just as everybody said it would be impossible. But Operation Warp Speed worked. Not just one vaccine, but now we're on the cusp of maybe having 3 vaccines. With a 95% effectiveness, no one dreamed or thought that that would be possible. Now, how do we get this safe and secure vaccine out to the country? The president has done a lot of work ahead of time, especially with that, and that's why we provided more money, utilizing the military that does this so well. And Dr. Slawi says that there could be 20 million Americans that could have the vaccine next month. I think that is really the future of how we turn the corner on all of this. We need to continue to work towards that. It would be very helpful, though, if we could have Speaker Pelosi to stop the political games. I mean, how could she send people home? I mean, I don't know what to trust on her, because she said back before summer we would not leave unless we had a COVID relief bill, but she sent us home. Then when we came back, she said we would not leave again, but then she sent us home. You now have 23 Democrats. Either they'll be like the speaker, give a word and not keep it, or they'll keep the word of what they signed their name to a letter on.
So you're advising your conference members to all wear masks?
Yes, yes.
Leader, you talked about in the beginning of the press conference about the record number of GOP women who have been added. Of course, Democrats still have the majority, and they say that they want to overturn the Hyde Amendment. As our Catholic viewers want to know, what can your party do to prevent this from happening?
Well, I think that's the law of the land. I mean, despite where you stand on the issue, should you spend taxpayer money for this? I mean, that's been clear for a number of years. That's something that even Joe Biden had voted for in the past, but now wants to change his mind to appease a different wing within his own party. I think now that we have a stronger number inside the House, it would be hard to shift. But I know what the Democrats have done, even defeating a Democrat in their own party in a primary based upon this belief, because they will not tolerate different views. You know, the one thing you look at the Republican Party, our greatest strength is our diversity of how many places we come. And that's why we were successful winning 2 seats in Miami, winning in New York, defeating a committee chair in Minnesota. Think about California. Prior to the special election last year, the last time a Republican switched a Democrat seat in California was 22 years. We're on the cusp of doing it 4 times in this election. That's the home state of the speaker. It's also my home state too. Yes.
So Joe Biden and other Democrats have stated that some portion of student debt should be canceled. Do you think student debt or some portion thereof should be canceled?
Well, I think if you watch President Trump, he did do part of that already in the process. I think what really needs to happen is people need to get in a room and work on a COVID relief package. I think getting the economy back working again is the best way of moving forward on how to deal with anyone's debt. Yes.
So the NDAA was sent to conference yesterday. When that comes back, the president has threatened a veto over the Confederate provision that's in there. Would you support a congressional override to get that NDAA passed?
I'm not quite sure of what the president said there. I think when the NDAA comes out, we'll have it passed, and I think the president will sign it. Yes, sir.
The Biden team says they need to be briefed on the vaccine distribution. Biden himself said that if they don't coordinate with the Trump administration, people may die when it comes time to distribute.
Why would he say that if he doesn't know about it? Your first premise of your
my
question.
question is, should there be coordination with the Trump administration and the Biden transition team about distributing the vaccine?
Well, the first thing I think the Biden team should do is take back the words that they said earlier, especially Kamala Harris, to scare the American public about a vaccine that's 95% effective. I think Governor Cuomo should do the exact same thing. And then when I listen to my own governor, I think they should allow this administration that did Operation Warp Speed and stopped playing politics with it. We have a safe and secure, not one vaccine, but on the cusp of having 3 in this short time period. Dr. Slawi is not playing political games. He's been planning this and has done 14 vaccines before this. He's put the American public first. The president, you have one president at a time. We have the military putting through and planning this ahead of time. So I want to follow through, and if we can get people the vaccine next month, let's do it. That is what's going to save lives. Playing politics with this is wrong. And if Joe Biden wants to make a claim, first in your question was, he doesn't know about it, but he claims people are going to die. Well, how can he make that claim if he doesn't know anything about it? I think we have our doctors, our scientists, our researchers. They are the experts. Let's let them work and push this through, and let's stop playing politics with it. That would be the number one thing I would do.
I mean, why not just?
No, not hurt. Tell him. He could know what's happening. He rightfully so. But the one thing he should do is stop saying the things that he's doing for only political reasons. That is what's hurting the American public. That is what's going to have people to die if they're fearful of taking a vaccine that's 95% effective. And to play political games to delay it in a time that it's spiking, I think he knows better than that. Yes. You're
I have a
done?
question. No,
No
what's
more
what's your
questions?
reaction to Gavin Newsom to being at this, restaurant without a mask and all this stuff?
Well, I hope the Democrats who signed this letter are not like Gavin Newsom, say one thing and do another. If the 23 of them signed a letter and said if action didn't take, they'd sign a discharge petition, I wish they would do it. What's concerning to me is who was around the table too, from the Medical Association, and then to say at the very beginning that they were outside, they weren't even wearing a mask. I mean, I know what Gavin Newsom has said before. He's told us in California, even if we're out to eat in the last month, we'd have to wear our mask, take a bite, and put the mask back on. I think he lost a lot of credibility with Californians.
Are you having a small Thanksgiving or a large Thanksgiving?
Well, it's my wife and daughter. I call that small.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I got my dogs too. Teddy and Cash will be there, and they'll get all the extra food. So I wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving, and I hope we do not leave until we get this discharge petition and get it done, and we could actually get it done today. Thank you very much.